Sehita Shemsui. In ancient Egyptian, be at peace, my followers. I am Dr. Noon Savashiva Amun Ra, the Architecton. This is my first book entitled Evolutionary Nutrition, the Scientific and Theoretical Validation of Veganism. It was conceived at the close of the last millennium. It was written at the commencement of this millennium, and it was finally published in 2003. As those of you who have read this text know, it is still quite topical. Presently, in the year 2020, there is a great deal of concern about an emerging virus, the new or novel coronavirus. It has killed over 1,000 people to date and infected several thousand. There is a specific section in this book on the last major coronavirus. I recently posted an excerpt from Evolutionary Nutrition relating to that particular outbreak. But today's reading is not going to be from that particular section. Today's reading is going to be from chapter 8 of the text, and I think you'll see why. Because although this particular outbreak, this looming and potential pandemic is quite alarming, what is more alarming is the fact that we can expect to experience regular outbreaks of pathogens that have been surreptitiously selected to breach our immune systems and zoonotically jump from animals to humans because of the nature of human exploitation of animals and the fact that being closely related to animals, we are susceptible to the same infections that they incur. So, without further ado, Chapter 8 of Evolutionary Nutrition, entitled Microbial Maladies. In the previous chapter, I made the case that meat is a product of questionable nutritional value, being likely a causative factor in the pathogenesis of various chronic degenerative diseases. In this chapter, we shall examine an equally insidious aspect of meat consumption, the potential for the tissues of animals to harbor dangerous, often life-threatening pathogens. The inherent perilousness of meat consumption is betrayed by the magnitude of morbidity and mortality visited upon those who acquire food-borne, largely meat-borne microbial infections each year. In the US alone, 5,000 deaths are attributable to food-borne infections annually, and this was in 1999. Over 300,000 Americans are hospitalized for food-borne diseases, while an estimated 76 million Americans, a quarter of the population, are stricken ill by the microbes that lurk in their meat-laden meals. There is, moreover, ample reason for believing that these estimates are quite conservative, for foodborne infections are most probably grossly underreported. How healthy can it be for humans to consume meat if, by conservative estimates, 1 in 4 succumb to infection by the microbes that infest the bodies of animals? Why are the terms food-borne infection and meat-borne infection virtually synonymous? Why do pathogenic microbes proliferate and predominate in animal tissues? Why are humans so susceptible to infection by such meat microbes but not plant microbes? This chapter shall address these questions. In quite a literal sense, microorganisms rule the biosphere. In terms of numerical magnitude, fitness, and adaptability, they represent the most evolutionarily successful organisms on the planet. The earth, sky, and water of our planet are teeming with these marvels of evolution. It is well worth noting that the vast majority of bacteria and other microbes are innocuous, or perhaps more precisely, quiescent. Their quiescence is ensured by the dynamic chemocellular arsenal that is the human immune system. A sufficiently large number of microbes are highly pathogenic, disease-causing, and as such warrant careful consideration. For several reasons, the microbes of particular concern to humans have affinities for the tissues of animals. Firstly, as described above in the case of human animals, the bodies of non-human animals are rife with native populations of bacteria and other microbes, internally and externally. Second, when an animal dies, its immune system ceases to function, thereby making its deep tissue susceptible to pathogenic invasion. Finally, physical and chemical characteristics make animal tissue inherently more vulnerable to microbial infestation than vegetation. To understand why meat is more susceptible to microbial infestation than vegetation, one must consider the conditions under which microbes tend to flourish. Moisture, warmth, and neutrality are requisite preconditions for optimal growth of bacterial populations. Neutrality encompasses two conditions: acidity-basicity and solute concentration. Most bacteria have a low tolerance for extremes of acidity and basicity. The membranes of bacteria, however, provide a measure of protection from such extremes, thereby ensuring organismal integrity. But this barrier can be breached. The reason why the barrier can be breached is because microbes evolve, and they evolve rapidly. Humans, of course, have evolved, but our evolution is fairly static. And so when we have entire populations predicated upon the production of animals for human consumption, it inevitably selects for microbes with the ability to breach, to overcome our innate natural immunological defenses. That is one of the reasons that meat consumption is so perilous for an organism such as human beings that have not evolved to adequately ingest animal tissue. This is a text that is foundational for understanding not only human evolution, but what foods are optimal for human consumption and why. I recommend that if you are serious about your health and understanding the nature of human nutrition, you acquire this text, which is now available anew in print form. Peace.